most of us, this young man is portrayed with full vigor, with life, and he falls in love for this beautiful girl, and so he marries her, and they begin to build up a house, begin to build up a family, and all seems to be going well. This family of two then becomes a family of three. A child is born to them, and he has a steady job, he has his house ready, everything seems to be going out swell for him. But then disaster strikes. As you'll remember, in the 1930s, 1940s, World War II broke out, and there was the fascists who were trying to eliminate certain people groups from Europe. And so, primarily, the Jews were targeted. And so, what happens to this man and his family is that they are all taken away to a concentration camp to work and toil there. And what this man does is that he hides his son with everything he has. He doesn't let him go with the other children, because he very well knows that what happens to the other children is that they are put to death. In the concentration camp, there is no use for children, so they would be promptly exterminated. But he guards his child. And in the midst of all that suffering, sadness, and strife, he does something interesting to keep the hope of his son up. He begins to tell him that they're all in a game. This is all a game. The concentration camp is a game. And if you persevere until the end, if you get toward the end, everyone gets a tank who actually won. And there is this point system, and he makes it this all elaborate scheme, all to make sure that his son is kept up in hope, all to make sure that his son is kept up in this right spirit. And so that's how he explains away to his son all the suffering that there is, all the tears, why some are down, the hunger. He explains this all away, and he says, you just have to hold on to the last minute. You just have to hold on to the last second, because at the end you're going to see that a tank is going to be rowed up into this concentration camp, and we'll all be free, and you'll have a tank. As the war begins to conclude, and as the movie itself begins to conclude, what happens is that the Nazis begin to retreat, fascists. And so what the managers, what the directors of this concentration camp decide to do is that they're going to do the cowardly way, and they begin to kill the Jews, as many Jews as possible. And so the whole camp is in alert. All the prisoners are trying to hide, scrambling to their places. And this man, he finds a place to hide his son and tells him, just be quiet, because tomorrow we're all going to be set free, and a tank is going to roll in, and you're going to get it. And so he hides his son, tells him to be quiet, and he goes looking for his wife, comes back to check on his son, and he sees that a dog begins to come close to the place where his son is. And the dog begins to bark, and the dog begins to get the attention of the Nazis that are there. And so what this man does to sacrifice himself, to spare his son, to not allow any harm to come to his son, he begins to divert attention to himself. And so the Nazis turn to him, the dog too, and they all take the trick. And the scene is funny, but at the same time it is rather solemn, in that the child is seeing from the place he is hidden, and so that his son will be maintained in the right spirit. What the man does is he does not go with the Nazis sad or depressed. He goes out marching with a big old smile, so that his son would continue to think that it is all a game. And what happens is that he is obviously put to death, but in the morning the Americans come in and they liberate. If you want to know about this movie, you can talk to me about it after service. But what I want to illustrate is what a man will do in sacrifice and love for his son. It shows us the love that human